Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to another of my end of season waffles, a chance for me to give a few of my thoughts on how I reckon every team and driver got on in 2022. And today, it is the turn of AlphaTauri. Now in 2021, AlphaTauri had a fantastic season, taking 6th in the Constructors' Championship, scoring 142 points, not that far off P5 either, and even managed to pick up a podium. But this season, well, it's not been anywhere near that level. I am honestly shocked to see them take a big step backwards this year. They weren't the only team to drop down the order, of course they weren't, but they felt like they were really on the up in 21 and I expected so much more. They were, come the end of the season, just 9th in the standings and only managed to pick up 35 points all year. That's a huge drop off. The funny thing is though, despite everything I've just said and kind of like I said in the Williams video, it wasn't totally horrific. They were just a couple of points off Haas, and although it's a lot to pick up in the F1 midfield, they were only 20 points off Alfa Romeo in P6. What's hit them hard this year is the number of DNFs, 8 in total, and then 1 did not start across both drivers, with a mixture of reliability problems and crashes either caused by their drivers or their drivers getting wiped out by somebody else. Sure, the car wasn't great, and not all of those failures to finish were from big point scoring positions, but they definitely hit them hard. Pierre has had a really tough year as well, especially coming off the back of a few fantastic seasons since returning to the team. He is absolutely going on the list of drivers I expected to see so much more from this year. Then again, if the car isn't great, he's inevitably going to struggle. Don't get me wrong, on paper it has not all been bad. He grabbed a 5th place finish in Baku and managed to pick up points on 5 other occasions, although that does highlight the drop-off. That is 9 fewer than last year. And with just 23 points on the board versus last year's 110, wow. I'm not blaming that all on Gasly, by the way. Again, a lot of that is on the car and things like strategy, for example. Although I will say this, there were only 3 occasions he failed to make it to the end of a race, and they were Bahrain, where his power unit went pop, that's the technical term, Miami, where he had that collision with Lando Norris, and Britain, where he had to retire with damage following his teammate hitting him. Other than that, it was down to, as I say, either the car not being good enough, bad or unlucky strategy, and let's face it, his own performances as well. His averages for the season are, perhaps therefore unsurprisingly, pretty disappointing. He averaged a qualifying position of 12.5 and an average race finish of 11.6. Compare that to last year's 6.8 and 7.2, and the difference really is night and day. He did, though, manage to beat Tsunoda in the quali and race teammate battles, which, when things aren't really going a driver's way, is the minimum they should be aiming for, beating their teammate. As for Yuki Tsunoda, I've been impressed with him in some ways this year. He has definitely ironed out some of the mistakes and crashes he was having last season and seems to be improving. He has also been closer to his teammate as well for one reason or another. Do not get me wrong, he has not been perfect. And there have been some really sloppy mistakes, crashing off at the pit exit in Canada, crashing into his teammate at Silverstone in his crash at Singapore, for example. But my point is, we seem to have seen far less of them this year. Yuki has had some rotten luck at times in the races though, and did take the most pain when it came to reliability. His car failed on the way to the grid at Jeddah. He was hit by Ocon in France and that damaged his car. He suffered a reliability problem at Zandvoort and was taken out by Daniel Ricciardo in Mexico. Just feels like one of those seasons for Yuki when it comes to bad luck. His averages for the year are worse than 2021, but not as dramatically as Gasly, with his qualifying average for this season at 13.4 versus 12, and his race average for 2022 is 13 versus 11.7 last year. As I'd say was the case for the whole team, that's largely down to the car, because I'm adamant that on the whole, Yuki has made a solid step forward. And just to reiterate the point I made on Gasly in case anyone missed it, I am not blaming everything on the team, and I'm not blaming everything on Tsunoda. It is a combination of the two. Overall, they're not great from AlphaTauri. Perhaps if the car had been more reliable and, well, I mean, quicker, they might have picked up some more points and pipped Haas to P8 in the standings. But I'm not convinced they'd have been anywhere near challenging the likes of Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, even without those DNFs. Having said that, looking back at those races they retired from, they were often either in the tail end of the points or right on the fringes of them before their races came to an end. So yeah, that gap could have been smaller. But one, it's unlikely they'd have picked up enough points to pass them for P6. And two, just because a driver is running P10 on lap 40 or whatever, it doesn't mean they're guaranteed a points finish, but you get my point. I'm also not convinced the drivers could have done a huge amount more. Yeah, of course, drop some of the mistakes, but they were let down this year by the car. Yes, I know I keep banging on about that, but that's kind of the biggest issue here, as can often be the case. If you've got a bad car, there's only so much your drivers can do. I will add this quickly as well. I don't mean to go in hard on the team. This is just something that can happen when we have a rules reset. You either nail it or you don't. It's what you do in the middle in terms of development that can define your season. And AlphaTauri, on the face of it at least, seems to be more competitive at the start of the season than come the end of the season. So maybe the answer to their problems this year is the in-between, what's happened with the development. It is a shame Gasly wasn't able to end his time with the team on a high after such a strong showing for them in previous seasons. And I'm not going to look ahead to next year too much, but I think he's made a great call accepting that offer from Alpine, and I can't wait to see how he gets on. Equally, 2023 is a big year for Tsunoda, and I really hope he continues to improve and stakes a claim on that seat for the future. Tsunoda versus De Vries could be great fun next season. And for what it's worth, I'd be surprised if the team didn't make a step forward in 2023 as well. That is it for another one of my end of season random waffling video things, but you can let me know how you feel about AlphaTauri's season in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back soon with another video, but in the meantime, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.